Alright, so Vince McMahon is once again in trouble for this time it says here in the Wall Street Journal that WWE board probes secret $3 million hush pact by CEO Vince McMahon, sources say. Let's see. The company says the relationship was consensual and is cooperating with the inquiry. So, the board of directors of World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, WWE stock is down 2.81% today, but that's not really that surprising, especially with this new investigation out by the board of directors. Is investigating a secret $3 million settlement that longtime chief executive Vince McMahon agreed to pay to a departing employee with who he allegedly had an affair, according to documents and people familiar with the board inquiry. The January 2022 separation agreement bars the now former employee who was hired as a paralegal in 2019 from discussing her relationship with Mr. McMahon or disparaging him, the people said. The board investigation, which began in April, has unearthed other older non-disclosure agreements involving claims by former female WWE employees of misconduct by Mr. McMahon and one of his top executives, John Laurinaitis, the head of talent relations in WWE, the people said. The journal couldn't determine how many previous agreements were being scrutinized. Yeah, this is small potatoes, small peanuts compared to what about Vince McMahon's history. Yeah, I mean, if you know his history, this is not in the least bit surprising at all that he had NDAs, which are non-disclosure agreements, and paid off millions of dollars in hush money after affairs he's had with women over the years. So no, I'm not shocked by this at all. In fact, this is small potatoes compared to what Vince McMahon has allegedly done over his life, throughout his business career. So this isn't shocking at all. The board's outside counsel was still collecting information about other NDAs this week, but has determined that the payments total in the millions of dollars. The millions of dollars, people said. The board's 8 directors have retained New York-based law firm Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett LLP to conduct the investigation. The board's preliminary findings are that Mr. McMahon used personal funds to pay former female employees who signed the agreements, including the one involving allegations against Mr. Laurinaitis, the person said. A WWE spokesperson, more broadly, the law firm is also assessing WWE's compliance and human resources programs and company culture, the person said. A WWE spokesman said the company, which runs the world's most famous wrestling business, is cooperating fully with the board inquiry, and that the relationship with the ex-paralegal was consensual. He added that the company takes these allegations seriously and is dealing with them appropriately. Wonder how that's supposed to happen. Messrs. McMahon and Laurinaitis didn't return out for comment, blah, blah, blah. And now this is McMahon's personal attorney here. In a letter to the Wall Street Journal, Mr. McMahon's attorney, Jerry McDivitt, yes, this is the same Jerry McDivitt that helped Mr. McMahon get out of his steroid charges back in the 90s, so he's still around, said that the former paralegal hadn't made any claims of harassment against Mr. McMahon and that the WWE did not pay any monies to the ex-employee on her departure. So apparently it was Vince McMahon personally who paid the money. Even the board of directors admit that. NBC, WWE is also seeking to make more international deals. This is about the business itself. Mrs. McMahon, this is Stephanie's. Let's see. Here we go. Alright, this is how the investigation started. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is what's important. Board members learned of the $3 million agreement in a series of anonymous emails they first received from someone who said that the former WWE paralegal was a friend. The first email sent to the board of directors was on March 30th, alleged that Mr. McMahon, 76 years old, initially hired the woman at a salary of $100,000, but increased it to $200,000 after beginning a sexual relationship with her. The email to the board also alleged that Mr. McMahon gave her like a toy to Mr. Laurinaitis. The board is investigating the allegations in the email, the person familiar with the inquiry said. So, yeah, in other words, McMahon basically hired a. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would he even be in the presence of a paralegal? But, anyways, let's say this is all true. I'm just going to take it at his word. She was hired at $100,000 and eventually got increased to $200,000. And then apparently after McMahon was bored of her, he gave her to Laurinaitis to to do what he wanted to do with her. So it's my friend was so scared that she was. My friend was so scared, so she quit after Vince McMahon and lawyer Jerry paid her millions. Jerry McNivet, by the way, paid her millions of dollars to shut up. He initially emailed to the board and said, referring to Mr. McMahon's longtime lawyer, Mr. McNivet, who negotiated the deal, according to people familiar with the board inquiry. Mr. McDivitt, a Pittsburgh-based partner at the law firm K&L Gates, has represented WWE and Mr. McMahon for decades. He defended him in the 1990s against the steroid federal charges of distributing and conspiring to distribute steroids to WWE wrestlers. The jury acquitted Mr. McMahon in WWE in 1994. WWE is partnering with production company Blumhouse to develop the United States versus Vince McMahon, a TV series about the steroid case. Oh, well, that's something to look forward to. Blah, blah, blah. The directors received a copy of a $3 million agreement from one Mr. McMahon's lawyers on June 12th. One person familiar with the inquiry said the non-disclosure agreement provided an upfront payment of $1 million to a former employee, with the remaining $2 million to be doled out over a period of 5 years. Person familiar with the deal said. Let's see. Former employee 41 had fallen on hard times for joining the company. Blah, 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 blah. Needed extra money. The former employee moved to legal retirement in 21, become assistant Miss Laurinaitis. The rest of this is just, history of the company. But yeah, this isn't, if you know McMahon's history, this isn't shocking at all. It starts from union busting. I got at least two stories I remember off the top of my head about that. There's also another claim of harassment by an ex-female employee. WWE referee Rita Charlton, I believe her name was, a redhead, which McMahon supposedly paid a couple $100,000 a year to a referee, which at the time was an insane amount of money, and still is today for a referee. Yeah, there's that case. There's the union busting. There's the Nancy Argentino case, which was covered by a documentary series called Dark Side of the Ring, which at the time one of McMahon's top stars was Superfly Jimmy Snuka. A lot of you, if you're older, you know that name real well. And apparently, Snuka murdered Nancy Argentino in a fit of rage after doing cocaine. So McMahon went to the chief of police in the town. I think it was Allentown, Pennsylvania, if I remember correctly, with briefcase of money. Allegedly was money. To be fair, let's be fair here. But allegedly, what was money in there, and handed it to. And by the time McMahon left the room, the chief of police and the lead detective, he didn't have the suitcase anymore, and the case was dropped for 40 years until finally the Dark Side of the Ring documentary popped up and discovered this. And Superfly was arrested right before his death for the murder of Nancy Argentino. He never faced charge because he passed away shortly after, but yeah, that's. I can name so many stories of McMahon doing shit like this, and it's not surprising. I mean, is he going to suffer consequences for this? No. I don't. How the hell no? There's no way he suffers consequences for this. There's also union busting I can get to. Back at 1988, I think I want to say, WrestleMania 2. Jesse Body Ventura, a lot of you know that name, I'm sure, decided now it was the time to unionize on McMahon, create a wrestling union and to get, the money, to get the boys paid and get health insurance and all that good stuff. Apparently Hogan was in the room at that time, and Hogan like ratted it out to McMahon, and that immediately was squashed. Some guys were fired, and the rest of the wrestlers were scared to actually do anything by that point. So yeah, that's a union busting. I mean, he's done it all. He's done every fucked up thing you can imagine, and this is not shocking. Will McMahon suffer any consequences for this? No. He used his own money first of all. Second of all, he controls most of the voting power in the company. So chances are the board of directors trying to fire McMahon is almost zero. It's because he controls everything in the company. So yeah, the one who's gonna take the fall very likely is Laurinaitis for this. McMahon's right hand man. And all this. He's the one to take the fall for this. He'll be out of a job. He'll be brought back. He'll be probably hired back in 6 months or a year, and people forget about this new scandal. So yeah, those are my thoughts, quick thoughts on this. Tell me what you guys think. Give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.